Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, Toni Storm is AllElite. Seth Rollins thinks that AEW wrestlers blasting WWE reeks of desperation. John Cena has said that this AEW star is even better than what he did. And we're going to kick things off by talking about Marko Stunt leaving AEW. I'm Andy Murray.
I'm Michael Sidgwick.
And this is the news. I might as well do a Wilborn bit before we kick through. I don't know, whatever he does there. He is still in Texas auditioning for the TV show Dallas. Best of luck to him, but JR is already dead, so I don't understand what he's doing. Not the wrestling JR, obviously. We're going to kick things off by talking about Marko Stunt's departure from AllElite Wrestling. This was effectively confirmed last night. Fightful Select coming through with the report. Marko being informed by Christopher Daniels, AEW's head of talent relations, that his contract will not be renewed when it expires this May. So, we've spoken about Marko a fair bit on the news recently, actually. A bunch of different reports coming up concerning his absence from TV. He's not been around since September, and his expiring contract. Joey Janela had spoken about Marko as well, saying that AEW had effectively ghosted him, alleging that AEW had effectively ghosted him, as they've done with Janela a little bit. Some details from the Fightful report here, we'll just go through them. Marko had actually suffered a concussion in October, and he'd made efforts to get booked by AEW to prove himself worthy of returning, worthy of getting a new contract. Obviously, that now has not happened. Now, when Christopher Daniels phoned him up, he cited budget cuts and the large roster as the reason behind the departure. Marko has tweeted since then, pretty quickly after the story broke, in fact, saying, "I'm good, by the way," or as Effie would say, Marko is fine. So, Marko's doing a lot of stuff at the moment. He's, I can't remember the name of the promotion, so forgive me, but he's helping book an indie promotion from back in the day that he used to work for. He does the music style. He's a very good singer, Marko. Don't know if you guys have heard him. Real Ed Sheeran vibes. Although, I'd trust Marko more in a fight than Ed Sheeran, I think. But yeah, let's break this down a little bit.
I know I'd rather see you get bumped.
Yeah.
That's Ed Sheeran.
Yeah. Who do you think would bump better for Lance Archer? Because Marko did a sterling.
Yeah, Marko was incredible in that match.
So yeah, looking at this whole thing, I think it would be very wise for AEW to avoid terms like budget cuts coming into it. Obviously, that just we're not going to dive into this side of it because anyone who is applying context understands the difference between an AEW budget cut and the billion-dollar corporation budget cut. Still, it inspires bad takes on social media. Saw a great tweet last night stating that the only thing that would inspire more bad takes on social media would be if AEW ran Saudi Arabia and relied on gate receipts rather than money from the regime. So, context, layers, we'll have people in the comment section today posting cry laugh emojis and other nonsense. It's fine, it's part of the game. But what do you reckon of all this, the departure, the nature of it, everything?
Yeah, let's not use the curve that is WWE to praise AEW, because I think there's a little bit of a problem with the way in which that they have handled this situation. We've heard reports of a lack of communication with various wrestlers who they consider surplus to requirements. That's not really nice nor ideal in terms of optics or just the nice general right thing to do. It depends on your perspective. What is the more patronising thing to do? Is it more patronising to tell a white lie about budget cuts, or just outright say, look, you're not what we are after right now. We've kind of grown past a talent of your particular role, so maybe in the future we can have a conversation, but for now your run is up. Is it better to be a little bit blunt, or to tell what, if not necessarily a white lie? I'm not privy to the AEW budget, but a new story breaking confirming that a released wrestler has been released due to budget cuts and
we should maybe, not to interrupt you, but we should maybe draw a line between released and departed.
It's not released, just departed.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but
the expiration of the contract. We've allowed your contract to expire without renewing it, which again is completely different to released. Sometimes even I get it mixed up sometimes.
We do it all the time.
Absolutely. So there's a marked difference between that. But what's the better way of managing this? What's the better solution? Is it better to say, look, you're just not what we're after right now, the company's moved past, obviously we've got a lot of talent to manage, maybe one day in the future we can do it, or citing budget cuts? Because the optics of this story breaking, the reason cited for the not renewing his contract and then debuting a new talent, Toni Storm, on the exact same night, is pretty horrendous.
Yes.
I would prefer some transparency personally. Maybe the wrestlers themselves would rather have the white lie told if in fact it's a white lie.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you on every single level. I think that most people who are able to apply context do understand the difference between, the different financial situations of various companies and what budget cuts means to various people. But you are absolutely inviting people to come at you with those bad optics that you yourselves are creating. Janela spoke a little bit about how his situation had been handled, and it sounded suboptimal as well. Me and Wilborn spoke about communication issues. So yeah, there are definitely lessons to be learned from this from an AEW standpoint. And as far as Marko goes, I think he's going to be just fine. He was getting indie dates coming out of his ears before he signed with AEW. I'm sure those will materialize again. Best of luck to him. Like I said, I thought in the Lance Archer match in particular, he did a really good job of just bouncing around the ring like a basketball. Not that Lance needs help, because he's like a Pantheon tier squash guy himself, but Marko did a really good job in that in particular, so fair play to him and best of luck to him. Sucks to comment on people losing their jobs, but it's the news, so that's what we have to do. Toni Storm, we'll keep this one a little brief, given that the lads did a what went down after last night's AEW Dynamite, but yes, she is AllElite. She's got the graphic. Tony Khan excitedly tweeted, "It's Toni Storm," during her entrance on the show as well. She was the mystery opponent, of course, for the Bunny in the qualifier for the Owen Hart tournament. Match was about 7 or 8 minutes, pretty competitive. The Bunny obviously isn't somebody that AEW just want to squash. You can argue whether or not Toni should have come in against someone she should have squashed. Maybe that would have been more effective. That's a valid conversation, I think. But in the end, Toni got a really good reception. She was really emotional at the finish as well, saying, "Thank you, I've missed this." You could see her mouthing it and stuff to the crowd. So this was clearly quite a cathartic experience for her. Glad to see her here. We analysed her a little bit yesterday. She's a very promising wrestler. There you go.
Yeah, incredibly marketable, incredible natural performer. Obviously, the emotion was written all over her face. That is good. We talked a lot about how she could be an asset for AllElite Wrestling yesterday because she's so amiable, she's so young, she's still got so much untapped potential. It's a good move, and the more depth to that division, the better. Let's just hope for some consistency in her portrayal.
100%, and looking forward to seeing the Owen tournament on both sides.
Yes.
The men's qualifiers kick off next week as well, I believe. So it's a fun time. What we got on Friday? Jamie Hayter and Sky Blue. That's cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, next story. We're going to go over to Seth the Chef. He's been at it again, my friends. You know what Seth Rollins does. You know what he does. He does that, and then he says things like this. So before we dive into this, he's quite obviously trying to promote WrestleMania here. So I don't think, when Seth Rollins makes these statements, it's like a bonfire sometimes, but he knows exactly what he's doing. He's dropping a little bit. We disagree on this a little bit, but I'm kind of into this stuff, to be completely honest with you. I think it's good value. But yes, this was an appearance on the Sports Media podcast, talking about how on WWE television recently, it was January, as part of the Roman Reigns program with Seth, he brought up Jon Moxley, talking about how Mox is an important part of their history together as the Shield, Ambrose, all of that stuff. And he contrasted that with the way that AEW wrestlers talk about WWE on TV, the barbs, the jabs that you either love or hate. I love all barbs. I think they're fun. Here's what he said. I'll read it verbatim. The other side of the coin is the way that it can be used by those guys, AEW, of course. They can do whatever they want. I find it really tacky and very lowbrow, personally. I think it's pro wrestling. Everything's lowbrow.
He's literally playing the Joker.
Baby. I think it looks and reeks of desperation, and I just don't think it's anything on our television show that we need to go there and talk down about those guys. I love the language he uses. They're doing their thing, and they're doing it very well. I'm very happy for them. I am, at least personally. Are they on our level? Here we go. No, they've got a long way to go to catch up to us, and that's fine, and they know that. They do things differently, but for me, my perspective is just a little step. I love how condescending this is. It's a little step down for us to kind of use it as an insult. That's my perspective on it, but people may not share that opinion. I don't think we share the same opinion on this. I appreciate the grift.
I like it from both sides. It's just drama, it's news cycle, keeps us in a job, etc, etc, etc. I am very much aware of who Seth Rollins is working on Saturday night at WrestleMania. It's not Shane McMahon, it is Cody Rhodes, right? I understand why he's saying this specific thing at this specific time, because he can't really build this match via the traditional means, because it's not really a storyline, and he's not really got a promo on screen to work with. But I remember 2019 vividly. because I am not a goldfish. So Seth Rollins doesn't really come out with this shoot statement with a degree of credibility for me.
No, you're dead right.
I think he's saying it for a specific purpose, but I genuinely think he believes it as well.
Sure.
He was mentored in this promotion, handpicked in this promotion by Triple H, who in 1998, easy for me to say, very famously made digs at WCW. That was the policy at the time. It is no longer the policy to acknowledge the competition. If the policy was to acknowledge the competition now, Seth Rollins would 1,000,000% be doing it because he's a company guy.
Yes.
That is the reality. I think he thinks it because he's a stand-up for WWE guy. He just is.
He knows who's paying him, doesn't he?
Don't lie,
yeah.
He's getting paid a fortune as well. He's one of like the top 5 or 6 people that is very much safe in that company and will always get a spot.
100%. He knows who he's playing to. Yeah, there we go. Pure chaos when stuff like this happens, but sometimes it's fun. More positive comparison to draw now. John Cena. He's been speaking to Forbes. He had some very nice things to say about one Max Caster, who he said is doing a better version of what I did back in the day. Obviously, Dr. Orthogonomics, the gimmick that saved John Cena from the WWE chop pretty much, and provided the launch pad for a long, successful career. And when he brought it back at Mania, that was fun. Just kicked Elias's ass. Really good stuff.
I was very tired at this point.
So was I. And then the music, the hit, and I was like, sorry. That's how John Cena's music went. Anyway, 2 days in a row. That's going to break the microphone. Here's what he said about Max Caster. He was asked, as part of this conversation, if he thinks he could beat Max in a battle rap. John Cena said the following: I know Max Caster very well, and the answer is no. He's extremely gifted. I remember hearing him for the first time and asking a good friend of mine to please pass his information on to me. Collab in the works, maybe. I immediately checked out his raps out of the blue, and I saw what he was doing was spectacular. I wish him the best of luck, but I can't give him any advice because he's punching far above my weight class. He is very gifted. He's gifted enough to rhyme to the beat live, where I kind of did my stuff a cappella to let the punchline sink in. Went on a little bit more. Hip-hop constantly evolves, it is constantly moving forward, and he is the better version of what I did. He's really, really spectacular. As long as he keeps everything in realistic perspective, he shows great potential. I think it speaks a lot to what Max has built for himself and the Acclaimed, and Bowens is tremendous as well. That one of the most anticipated things, at least online, heading into last night's episode of Dynamite, wasn't necessarily what's his match with CM Punk going to be like, it's what's he going to say about Will Smith and Chris Rock. Obviously, Max got himself in trouble with the Simone Biles stuff, which he should never have touched. I maintain my stance on that. But it's a gimmick that is very close to the line every single week, and you have to kind of be razor sharp and locked in and able to read exactly what the room is going to react to stuff when you're doing that, because there's always a danger. He was unable to do that on that occasion. It's a very difficult thing to do. But for the most part, I think the act is still very over. I think it still gets pops. It's very, very funny at its best. He's obviously locked into what is going on in the world. And this is high praise from John Cena, who I maintain has an absolute banger on his track record in Bad Bad Man.
Yeah, Bad Bad Man is absolutely incredible. In fact, I actually only heard this because I've never been a Cena guy. Realistically, I didn't like his work. I don't like his Twitter activity. He's got that kind of aloof, weird Hollywood, holier-than-thou, superior, I'm capable of being a philosopher. No, you're just a good actor and you can get money for being in films. You're not better than me. You can't give me advice. Stop talking to me on Twitter like this. He's gone Hollywood weird.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, he kind of makes it impossible for me, who doesn't really like his work at all, to truly hate him, because that is just very magnanimous stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like, and it's such detailed as well. So he's clearly not just speaking out of his arse.
Yes.
Like, you can tell from the, like, talking about, like, how Max raps on the beat and checking out his work and giving precise examples, you can tell he's actually being earnest as well. Which, for a man with a schedule as chaotic as I imagine John Cena's is, fair play to him. Shout outs to John Cena. Nice. That was nice. Yes. Anyway, you know what else is nice? Twitter questions. Also, you know what else is nice? I forgot to do the ad read in the middle of the video, but this is the last day. If you want to get your hands on our beer, collaborating with our good friends at Top Rope Brewing, who really did all the hard work. You just came up with the genius title, clickbait thumbnail with all the yellow arrows. It's the last day if you're in the UK and you want to order this and get it in time for WrestleMania. As part, you can get individual cans as well as you're compiling a box, but we've also got our WrestleMania box. It's on the Top Rope side. The link will be down below in the comment section. Here's why is the promo code you want to use for free delivery. Last day, get them in time for WrestleMania. It's a delicious beer, nice smooth sipper, but as we pointed out yesterday, you don't want to go too hard on it because this IPA, American Pale Ale, a YPA, is 5.3%. It's a delicious beer. We enjoy the Top Rope stuff just regardless of working with the guys. Buy it. Yeah. Enjoy and drink responsibly. Twitter question responsibly. Let's kick things off with one here from Tim Upton, who asks, "G'day lads, I'm not going to do Wilborn's impressions, but I respect it. With the debut of Toni Storm in AEW, what match are you most excited for? I personally think that her and Jamie Hayter would put on a banger." Yeah, I think that would be very, very good indeed. Who have you got in mind for Toni Storm?
Jamie Hayter's mine as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they've both got this like really raw power game that's like really explosive and powerful at its best. Like I love watching bombs get dropped, and I think it'll be a really good competitive back and forth. And they've got a really good character dynamic as well because they have a similar physical ring style. But Toni Storm's great at generating sympathy. Jamie Hayter's like a really good dickhead heel. So I think the physical chemistry should be there and the character contrast is there as well. So that's a great take. That's the one I'm into as well.
Absolutely. One I would like to see, and it's kind of a lazy one because Thunder Rosa is the women's champion, but I think they would mesh extremely well as well. I think that, the babyface qualities that you speak of from Toni are a bit different to Thunder Rosa's ones. She's fiery. She's like her promo last night really exhibited all that. I think they'd have great chemistry. As maybe an outside pick, Nyla Rose. Her explosive spots are awesome and they might mesh really well as well. But, there's difficulties. Maybe Nyla's turning face. Who knows? Either way, looking forward to this Toni Storm run. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Up next, Joe C asks, if you could travel to any WrestleMania, which one are you going to?
X7, 17.
I was going to give a really boring answer and say 17 as well.
Well, should we come up with a different one because that's the obvious?
Yes, let's do that. I mean, 30 is a strong candidate.
I went.
Sure. Oh, okay. There you go.
I went to 30. It was an absolutely awesome time. You know what's the most underrated WrestleMania of all time? If you look at like match range, match quality, how like good the builds were. It's 24. Like 24 is the most underrated WrestleMania of all time. You've got the emotional turmoil of Flair and Michaels. You've got the best opener ever, apart from Bret Owen, obviously, because the Belfast Brawl was an absolute hoot. Mayweather was priceless value against Big Show. You've got a really quintessentially great WWE style main event between Undertaker and Edge. I believe there was a really good Money in the Bank ladder match on that show as well. 24 is incredible as a WrestleMania, so 31 gets the buzz underneath that 19, 17, 10 tier, but that's 24.
I tell you what, not necessarily the whole show, but I would have loved to have been in that crowd for Rock Hogan as well. Yeah, 18. Obviously, Hulk Hogan's a piece of trash, but that match is incredible. Pure just conducting an orchestra stuff. Next question, final one of the day, comes from Adam Hamilton. He says, "Morning, gents. With CM Punk now signaling for the AEW World title, what journey would you take to get to him? I am personally feeling Page versus Cole. Page wins it with CM Punk taking it at Double or Nothing and MJF taking it at All Out." So this is something we spoke about, I believe, on the podcast yesterday. Wanted to bring it to you because you've got some good thoughts on the lineage or the path of the AEW World title.
Well, the thing I'm most interested in, right, is that on the surface, Hangman Page versus CM Punk is kind of a bad idea because CM Punk is ridiculously over and you would not want to tarnish how really over Hangman Page is as well, because my read on the pulse here is that this crowd kind of likes Punk more than Hangman, just a bit. I know that Punk appears first, but they adore him. Like, it's genuine superstar stuff every time he opens up with Dynamite. But I know that AEW knows this as well, and genuinely, Hangman Adam Page and CM Punk are two of the most intelligent pro wrestlers operating today in terms of how they build long-term stories, little nuances they put in their match. I think that match, on the surface, reads as a bit of a bad idea. I think they're going to craft a story in a match that will be one for the ages. I think that will be incredible, and I think Page wins. I think Page goes over CM Punk. There was a line in the promo last night on Dynamite where he said, before I leave AEW, I will win it. That to me felt like a little tell of like, I'm not winning it at the next pay, but it will happen. What's phenomenal about the way that all the storylines in AEW are bubbling away and are arranged at the moment is that Wardlow kind of has to go over MJF, otherwise he could be considered a bust in the minds of the audience, but then that takes away the strongest heel draw and champion in Hangman Page's way. Basically what I'm arriving at here is that I've got no idea what they're doing, but I've got ultimate faith in what it is that they eventually do.
I'm in the exact same boat. My headcanon fantasy booking personally for Andy Murray scenario. CM Punk beats Hangman Page. Eddie Kingston beats CM Punk in a revival of that feud. Short, concise, incredible. MJF beats Eddie Kingston in his first defense within like 2 weeks via skullduggery. So you've got the ultimate sympathetic guy getting screwed over by the ultimate dickhead. Eddie gets his big moment, but he doesn't need a big reign. He just needs that one moment where we all probably cry, to be honest, because he's such an emotional guy and what he brings to the ring and everything else. So that's my headcanon, fantasy booking, whatever. It's not the correct use of headcanon, but I don't care. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Also, you can get in touch with us at WhatCulture WWE. You can find Michael on Twitter at
Sidgwick.
Find me on Twitter at Andy H. Murray. The H stands for hexadecimal. It's the random word beginning with H that I found in the dictionary this morning. Don't forget, tomorrow, it's bollocks hour, basically. We just talk rubbish. It's going to be great. So if you want to send me some ridiculous, stupid, nonsense, bad Twitter questions, do that tomorrow morning. When
Not bad faith, though.
Not bad faith. I will block you for that. But yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. We will have a picture of an alligator in the background tomorrow. We will talk complete trash about the Fiend eating a gerbil or something. I don't know. Bye.